well, the time has come to start it up. Hopefully all the wiring is working, but I'm gonna go ahead and try that right now.
It's not getting the car done.
This is gonna get the car done. When do we go to Jersey?
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. We've got some wiring to do. We've got some
9 days.
air oil separating to do, turbo cooling to do, floor pan fixing to do, clutch cable adjustment to do, boost control remounting, coil pack mounting to do. There's a lot of stuff on the to-do list. I'll show you quickly what all that is. But we mean me, and with the help of Brendan. So one of the other things we're doing is, we as in Brendan, is welding a bung on here. So we have a drain for the oil recirculation line for the air oil separator. Here's what we're looking at. This mess of wires has to look like a normal race car set of wires, not a Lemons car. And then there's just a whole bunch of other things. I gotta cut these caps off, these collars off, add that to the list. But you know, a couple things. I'll put the old time lapse going so you guys get a really good idea of the feverish pace that I'll be working at today. It's that time. Started drinking beer. So let's see, I did the coolant line for the turbo coming out of the head, which is over here. It's right there. That line right there. It goes up here into the turbo. We still have, that's the turbo pump down there right there. That comes up here and goes to that fitting right there. So once the car shuts down for driver changes, coming into the pits, whatever, stoppage on the track, you can always just keep the turbo cooled. And then we have a bunch of hose here that we're gonna do some stuff with. But basically the wiring, which was a complete disaster before, looks, what would you say?
100% better, 60% right.
So we still have a couple things. We're gonna mount the big AOS, the biggest AOS on the planet right there. And then off to the side, we'll mount a little power bank fuse thing there. And then we still have to mount the coil too. And then Brendan also welded on a bung down here. You can't really fucking see it, but it's down there. And it looks like there's a lot to do, which I guess there is, but a lot less to do after today. So tomorrow's gonna be big. Yeah, just getting one step closer. Ordered a few fittings. And so once we have the AOS mounted, I'll show you how that all goes and gets plumbed. We gotta keep it cool and keep it oiled and lubed and happy and, you know, making lots of boost. Well, maybe not making lots of boost. Some boost.
Moderate.
Yeah, we gotta, and we'll turn the boost down when Derek gets in the car. So we'll have that, we'll have the Derek button. Yeah, but that's it. I only tried to kill the oil pan once. Okay. I basically have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to get the car ready for the track day. And I think today I'm gonna connect all the hoses that I have to connect, air oil separator, better known as the AOS. Fill it with oil, give it the old 1, 2, 3 start. And hopefully with all the wiring that I consolidated and put together and did all that stuff, hoping beyond hope that it will start up. We'll see. I'll film that because it'll be exciting. Brendan's been helping me insanely with everything that I've had to do so far. As you can see, there's no seat. But if I pull this blanket away, there's a solid floor there. I think there's a little videotape of me cutting out the panel. Brendan patched this up. He also made a patch right there. And I'm not sure if you remember, but you could see where that panel's white. You used to be able to see the tire. So we got that fixed. Here it is what it looks like on the inside. But nonetheless, the floors are super solid now. And the wiring, if you guys can see it, is much more tightened up and all that stuff. I hooked up the low pressure warning light for the oil pressure gauge. So when that light goes on, you can definitely see the light. You'll know to turn the motor off. But yeah, we'll, oh, I can turn that on right now. Watch the power go on. There's the low pressure light. And on the dash, on the old school instrument cluster, it blinks on there. Not that you'd ever see that in a situation, but you can't miss that red light right below the oil pressure gauge. That's going to be great to have. A couple things left to do here. Got to mount the mirror, put the seat back in. But yeah, we're going to, today, I'm going to hook up these hoses, this line. All these guys have to go to the air oil separator. These two fittings. This is the pressure boost gauge. So these two fittings, these vents, crankcase pressure valve cover vents, go to the side of the air oil separator. And then this is a coolant out of the turbo that then goes to the air oil separator, goes in through the air oil separator, and then out to here and into here, and then back down following the whole coolant line. And here's where we are on the list. Turbo coolant line stuff is done. Clutch is done. This is going to be done today. I got to remove that. That's not a big deal. We didn't do the fan shroud yet for the radiator, but it's cool enough out, we think, so it's not a big deal. Bracket for the coil fuse panel we did. I'm going to do the oil in a minute. We welded on the bung for the oil return line, which is this guy. That's the oil return line for the AOS. I got to find the wiper motor. I don't know where I put that. The wiring. I did the engine bay wires. Got to work on the dash still, rear view mirror bracket still. And then the bumper and the doors and grille and headlights, those are all outside. So this list, which was huge, is almost done. I got about 5 hours of time to work on this stuff. So I'm hoping to get it to a really good spot today. And as I hook up the air oil separator, which is this guy, I'll sort of show you how the fittings and all that stuff fit. It's pretty freaking cool. Hope you're impressed with what we've done. It's pretty amazing. I'm just got a couple more pieces of hose to run. I'm going to change this clamp out because I don't like it. So basically what I've done is I've got the coolant return line coming out of the turbo. It goes to one of the coolant inputs on the AOS. Circulates water up in here to keep this thing hot, so that when the oil comes in here, it's at the same temperature as the motor, basically, maybe a little hotter actually, because it's coming out of the turbo. It keeps the oil from condensing, which would produce water vapor and water inside the oil. So then these two top lines are the valve cover vents. They go directly into the side of the AOS. And when they go in, they're being pushed with a lot of force. They spin around inside that thing, depositing the oil on the walls of the AOS. Those in turn drip down to this line here, and then it goes basically down into the crankcase. This bottom hose here is coming from the crankcase vent. So we've got crankcase pressure going in here as well as valve cover pressure. So basically, because the motor was built with probably larger gaps than are needed for, let's say, an endurance race car, because it was built as a dragster, which is kind of funny. Their tolerances for the rings allow a lot of blow by, because the heat that would be built up quickly by drag racing, I guess, you know, if the rings were tight or just within spec, they could lock up on the pistons and not let any oil or anything go. I don't know. It's something about the size of the rings and how it moves through there when there's a lot of heat. The AOS should take care of all of our needs in terms of scavenging the oil that's pushed out of the valve covers. And basically we'll be able to capture all the oil, and we won't lose any oil during the race. In just like, I don't know, probably a cumulative of like maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours of driving the car, like for testing and tuning and stuff, I filled up the whole catch can that we used to have in here. And that would be a huge problem, you know, during the course of a whole race. We'd run out of oil basically. It would fill up the catch can, and then we'd be screwed in terms of, you know, having enough oil for the race. And then we'd also have a problem because the catch can would fill up, and then there'd be no place for that oil to go, and then it would end up on the windshield or who knows, you know, where else. But definitely not anything you really want to deal with. So the AOS is theoretically a closed loop system. We won't need any maintenance. We don't have to ever empty it because it's emptying itself into the line that goes into the crankcase. So in that sense, we should be good to go. Filling this thing with coolant or water in a little bit will be really interesting because we have all these lines and all this stuff, and God forbid we have an air pocket, but we should be okay with the vacuum filler that we've been using. So anyway, that's where we're at. I'm just tightening up these last few hoses, and then I'm gonna probably fill the car with oil. I gotta put a line coming out of the AOS because you have all these gases going in along with the oil. You have to have some way to put those gases somewhere. And a lot of air oil separators will vent to the atmosphere, which is fine because it's mostly clean air. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a line toward the backside here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but we're gonna basically drill a hole right into the intake. So it'll all be moving together as the engine's forcing air, you know, blow by into the AOS. It's sucking air in, and it'll suck whatever air's in the AOS back into there. So it should hopefully circulate. But yeah, that's where that is. And then you got your vent lines, you got your coolant line. That's all tight. The only thing I got to do is rotate this, which I think is this guy. So I have to rotate it. I'm going to put a hose on this end. That's going to go to the turbo inlet, and this is going to be capped with a little vacuum line because there's not going to be any pressure out of here if this is open. So I don't really have to do anything with that, but I will rotate this around, which this thing is built so well. It's really for a Subaru with some, you know, modifications, I would say. We just got to plug that one. But what I could do now, this is made to rotate basically in any direction you want to work for you. So I'm going to basically put it here. I don't think I want to run it this way and over. Maybe I'll cut out this and I'll just go this way with it. Let's go that way. All right, we'll try that. And then just for shits and giggles, I'll put on like a little blue Loctite. Just because. And then we can drop these guys in. So even though these are made specifically for like Subarus, WRX STIs, and those cars that you want to definitely scavenge the oil that gets separated, they make it kind of modular and universal in a way. This piece can rotate 360, and then the piece on the bottom that has the return line going to the crankcase, that also has 2 Allen screws that you can have, you know, 360 degrees of movement, so that can return as well. So one line here and one cap here, and this is all hooked up, but we're getting very close. Okay, quick update. Valve cover vent lines hooked up, crankcase vent line hooked up, coolant out of AOS hooked up, coolant in to AOS hooked up. I think I have to tighten these guys, but we got one vent out of the valve cover, another vent out of the valve cover, turbo coolant out, And then what I've done so far also is replumbed the manual boost gauge, which is right there, the little turbo smart guy, basically right to there, and then this is out to the wastegate, and that goes right down there, avoiding hopefully the heat from the exhaust manifold. Right now I'm gonna hook up the electrical stuff for, I just mounted this power fuse thing, but I don't know what the hell is it called. I don't know. But I got to hook main power up to this, and then I got injector bank 1, injector bank 2, fuel pump, and then one other thing here, and those are these power lines that are still under here that I got to hook up. So I'm going to do that. Finish doing, this is the out of the AOS. This goes through there, around there, and I'm going to plumb a fitting basically right into the intake so that the intake is sucking air out of the air oil separator as well. And that'll go right there. Once I get that hooked up and those power lines hooked up, I'll fill it with oil and give it a start and see if it turns over. I won't add any coolant yet in case I got to change something, but a few more things to hook up. Looking good time-wise. And that's where we're at. The time has come to start it up. Hopefully all the wiring is working, but I'm going to go ahead and try that right now. Yeah, baby! Alright, so I don't have any coolant in it right now, so I can't really let it run for too long. But that's huge. Amazing. I'm actually really excited. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen, but I figured why not get it on video in case it does happen, and it did happen, so I'm super psyched. We, between Brendan helping me with the floors, the bracket for the AOS, all that stuff, I'm going to try and put some coolant, some water in it right now, and then what I want to do is send Vedran a file and see if everything looks okay. But right here is one of the last things I did, which was, so the air that goes into the air oil separator either vents to the atmosphere or it gets pushed or pulled back into the turbo, which is right here. So, I mean, sometimes these silicone pipes have like a little nipple on them and then you hook a fitting onto that. But Brendan had a 5/8 sort of screwed bulk, I think it's called a bulkhead fitting. So we put that in there. And then, so as the car accelerates and pushes boost and power and air through into the AOS, it travels through that hose right here and gets sucked back in. While the oil will get sucked underneath and kind of goes right there. It's hard to see. But one minor oil leak, forgot to attach the turbo oil return line, but not a huge spill. Gonna let it settle, check the oil, and there you have it. Like one huge major step. Man, so excited. Started, it's got water. I have a small leak with this temporary Y fitting. It's leaking out of the threads, so I'll have to address that tomorrow. We're gonna put a piece of aluminum on the lathe and turn one down so it fits perfect. Yeah, the car starts. It got up to temperature. Everything seemed fine. I'm gonna send the file to Vedran. And why don't we walk over here and let's see what we have here. Turbo coolant line done. Clutch cable done. installed the AOS, done. We didn't remove that, but we're going to soon. Radiator fan trowel we didn't do. The relay, and it turned on at 190 degrees. So that was good. We saw that happen. New bracket for this, that's done. We did this, welded that on. I got to do the add the wiper and do the motor, but that's not necessarily for this test day. Pure engine bay wires, we cleaned all that up. That looks really good. Haven't done the dashboard, haven't done the rearview mirror. I'm gonna go put the front bumper on, see what it looks like, and put the front grille on to see what it looks like. But that's pretty good. Like major things are done with the list. Tomorrow's Saturday, 2 days before we gotta go. It's really just clean everything up and do all the little stuff, tighten the nuts and bolts and get it ready. But that's where we're at. We're gonna spend about 30 minutes cleaning up so we're ready to go tomorrow morning. And I mean, I couldn't be happier right now. I just want this to get on track and I want it to run right and do well. But yeah, I mean, I'm super psyched. I mean, all this stuff, it's so crazy, all this shit that's in this thing. But that's it. I hope you like this video. I don't even know what this video is. There's so many pieces. Jeff, what are we doing with this video? Anyway, all right, thanks.